If you're a beginner to intermediate player and you're learning jazz improvisation or bebop or any style really, where you're trying to make your lines sound better, here's the most important thing you might not know you need to be working on every single day. Look, the stuff you play, the triads, the scales, all of that is obviously extremely important. You gotta have high quality sources to sound good, right? You gotta filter all of the not so good sounding stuff and just keep the really good sounding stuff. You gotta understand that. But it's not just what you play, it's where you play it. So where we put our lines and sounds and ideas really matters the most. That is the reason why sometimes students have great language, they're developing great ideas, but you can still sense something sounds off. And it's usually because they still haven't developed this strong sense of where to put those lines in the measure. All we need to do to understand where to put the good stuff and where to put the bad stuff is understand the concept of strong and weak. In a measure, some beats are strong, some beats are weak. And whatever is on strong, whatever note falls on a strong beat will project. I've been asked before, what do you mean by project in harmony? Anything that projects means that your brain will process it first. That is the main message that you're getting, the main harmonic message. Anything that doesn't project is secondary. So with the strong and weak concept, whatever is on strong will project, that will be the main message. And whatever is on weak won't project, it will be secondary. So how do we know what's strong and what's weak? Well, it's all related to subdivision. If we have a whole note in one measure, and in the next measure we have another whole note, and then we have another whole note, the first whole note in the first measure will feel strong. The next whole note will feel weak, and the next whole note will feel strong. It alternates between strong and weak based on subdivision. If we have half notes, the first half note will be strong, the second one will be weak, etc. If we have quarter notes, 4 quarter notes in one measure, the first one is strong, the second one is weak, etc. Same thing for eighth notes, and then 16 notes. I know what you're thinking. This is way too complicated. How's this going to help me? You're not supposed to be thinking when you play, right? And you're right. This is complicated. You're not supposed to be thinking about this. Nobody thinks about this when they're playing. I don't think about this when I'm playing. But what we're supposed to do in order to get this in our playing is to develop the intuition of strong and weak. We have to practice materials that will develop this in our system, right? This sense of where to start the line, where to put the good notes, etc. So I'm going to teach you different things that you can practice over time. It takes a long time. I'm not going to say it takes a short time, but it develops your intuition. I'm going to teach you a few things that do exactly that, okay? So let's think about the major scale really quick. The major scale has 7 notes, and we're going to use the major scale to learn this stuff. But I have to tell you right away that the major scale is wrong, rhythmically wrong, because if we just play it in eighth notes, right? If I do, let's say we're in E flat major. If I play the major scale in E flat and just play eighth notes, let's see what happens in terms of the strong and weak situation here. The chord is E flat major 7 or E flat major, right? E flat is on strong, so your brain will process this as a good note, and that works because E flat is the root for the chord and it's a chord tone and it works for that chord. So great. F will not get processed, is on weak. G will get processed, and that's the third that works for the chord, right? Chord tones work for the chord. The A flat doesn't work for the chord, but it's going to fall on weak, so it's not going to get processed, doesn't matter. B flat works as a chord tone, great, it's on strong. C is on weak, doesn't matter. Then we have D, the major 7th, another chord tone. Works, right? That's on strong. And then E flat is on weak. So we started on strong. So it means like everything now is messed up, right? Because it's going to get all displaced. E flat is on weak now. F is on strong. F works for a major chord. That's called the 9th. So that's fine. This will be on weak, the third. A flat, which doesn't work for a major chord because we get this dissonance. Now it's on strong. So as you can see, the major scale is not working rhythmically for us. It doesn't really fit the strong and weak concept that we need to develop. So what we're going to do is fix it. How do we fix it? All we have to do is add one note so that E flat falls on strong when we get to the octave. For example, I'm going to add it between the 6th and the 7th. And you can already sense it works rhythmically. It's complete, right? So strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak. It's perfect. It works rhythmically and it completes the whole measure. So even though we just fixed the major scale, you might already be thinking, well, isn't that the bebop scale? Yes, people call this the bebop scale, even though it doesn't have anything to do with bebop. It's just really a rhythmic correction of the major scale. One important thing happens, though. When we play the newly fixed major scale, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, the flat 7 now falls on strong, which is the passing tone we added between the 6th and the 7th to fix it. This makes the scale a dominant scale because the flat 7, in combination with the major third and the perfect fifth, create a dominant 7th chord. So this is called the dominant bebop scale. I'm just calling it a fixed major scale, whatever. It's just a correction, a rhythmic correction of the scale so that it works. By the way, you can add the passing tone anywhere, right? We could add it here and then just keep going. And that way it would be actually a major scale because we won't have that flat 7. All I'm trying to do is get you to think about this as a rhythmic correction. But the reason I'm using the dominant version is because I'm going to teach you how to play that scale to develop this intuition on the 4 main important qualities: major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, natural, minor 7 flat 5, and dominant 7 altered. So check it out. The very first thing we need to do with the scale is just practice it without chords and try to master it in that way. What that means on the guitar, for example, is to take a key, practice it from the root, 3 octaves up and down the guitar neck, and try to cover every possible variation, position, and try to practice every possible way that you can go on the guitar neck with the scale. Because the goal is that you have no surprises when you're improvising. You gotta be a complete master of the scale. The other important thing is to set the metronome in quarter notes, and you're going to be playing eighth notes. This is what's gonna program the intuition of strong and weak over time. So let's say my metronome is here, 3, 4. I'm gonna do it in the key of E, 3, 4. I start practicing variations up and down the guitar neck. Go up in a different way. Etc. Up and down in all possible ways. Another important thing is to try to connect the notes really well. That's what's going to allow you to play with accurate rhythmic articulation, swing, etc. All of the good things. No gaps, okay? You want to avoid stuff like that. You want to make sure those notes are really well connected. After you're done practicing from the root, you practice it from the other chord tones, which are the 3rd, the 5th, and the flat 7. This is, again, a dominant-based bebop scale. It's dominant because we added, again, the passing tone between the 6th and the 7th. So that 7th falls on strong and makes the scale dominant. So again, in the key of E, that would be practicing from E, from G sharp, B, and D. 3 octaves up and down from the 3rd. etc. After that, once you get a good grasp on how to play the scale and you feel confident playing it around the neck, you start practicing it on chords. And again, you're going to have to learn where to play it on. You're going to have to learn a formula to play it on different chord qualities. These are the most important chord qualities that you'll find in jazz standards. So I'm going to give you an example of how it sounds and what happens when you play it on a major 7 chord. So when you have a major 7 chord, you want to play the scale up a major 2nd. What this does is that the strong notes, the notes of the scale that are falling on strong, are projecting a D major 7 with a 9th, because E falls on strong. It's the first note. The next time we're on strong, we're projecting sharp 11. Next time we're strong, we're projecting 13th. And then the next time we're on strong, we're going to be projecting the root. These are all high quality sounds on D major 7 or a major 7 chord. When you practice it, make sure you have a metronome, and again, you're starting on a downbeat, so you're actually playing strong and weak. So I'm going to try to find that feel, because I don't have a metronome right now. From the third. Fifth. Etc. Right? So that's the goal right there with chords, to practice it from all of the chord tones, and maybe for a different video I will explain how to play it from the other notes, because it's also important to get it from the other notes. But once again, you can see why this is also referred to as the bebop scale, even though it doesn't have to do with bebop, anything to do with bebop. It allows you to start connecting notes, long lines of notes, and that is one of the characteristics of bebop. So I'm putting, again, the formula to play it on different chords on the screen. And I can't stress, if you're a beginner to intermediate player, the importance of doing this daily. You take it a standard, let's say all the things you are. Just playing lines there, and I can feel, how there are parts of those lines. There are moments where I'm trying not to keep going, because there's this intuition of strong and weak. And it's something that you only develop if you really practice slow, the whole concept that I just explained. So it takes a long time and patience, but it will give you this magic sort of intuition of where to start your lines, and start understanding that solos and lines are not just randomly floating in time. They actually go on specific places that make it sound good and how they sound. Anyway, that's it for today's video. If you like this video, if it was helpful, please like it and subscribe. I took a little break, but I'm back now. So let's convince YouTube to promote my videos. And I'll see you guys on the next one.